Okay, this just in, my friends, we got a lot to cover. Breaking news, there's been some significant upgrades that have been announced for NVIDIA Geforce Now. We're going to talk about them because man, oh man, they are insane. Actually, as this news is breaking and it's coming into us here at CloudDosage, I was able to skim over some of the footnotes, but we actually have an article up and I'm going to review the article with you. And I'm going to give you a live reaction to the article. So definitely you're going to want to check out this article with me. I'll leave a link in the description. But man, oh man, this is insane, and insane in a good way. With that said, what's up, everybody? It is your boy MM2K of Hard Knock Digital Culture, CloudDosage, MM2K Gaming, back again with a special edition of the CDO GFN recap. Yes, this one brought me out of the woodshed. I know it's been a long time coming, but man, oh man, this is enlightening to see stuff like this. I love it as a gamer that's been doing this for decades. I really love this. You guys know I love NVIDIA Geforce Now for all of its top-notch quality, performance, and visuals and all that great stuff, and they're delivering and taking it up a notch once again. But before we get into all that, do us a huge favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, rock those bells for notifications, please, so you know when we are dropping these doses here. With no further ado, I got the article up. Let's get into it. It says GeForce Now's biggest upgrade yet. RTX 5080 servers installed to play in huge feature upgrades. This is insanity. This is coming to you courtesy of CloudDosage and contributor John Scar. Let's check this out. It says Gamescom 2025 is right around the corner, and NVIDIA is kicking off the week with major news for its GeForce Now cloud gaming service and what the company is calling its largest update to date. NVIDIA is set to roll out new RTX 5080 Blackwell-powered GeForce Now servers, a cinematic quality streaming mode, expanded device and peripheral support, and a feature that instantly doubles the number of Steam games available to Ultimate members. This is insane. Let's continue on. All right. So, alongside the upgrades, NVIDIA is also focusing on lower latency streaming, improved visual fidelity, and more ways to play, whether on handheld devices, big screen TVs, or directly from Discord without any downloads. Do you hear this? From Discord without any downloads. The updates begin rolling out in September with no changes to Ultimate membership pricing. With so many changes on the way, it's clear NVIDIA is positioning GeForce Now for a big year in cloud gaming, and there is plenty to unpack from this announcement. So first, let's start with the RTX 5080 Blackwell servers and performance gains. At the heart of this massive GeForce Now update is the arrival of RTX 5080 Blackwell-powered servers, the most powerful hardware yet for GeForce Now. These next-generation GPUs bring DLSS 4 to the cloud for the first time, along with full ray tracing, ray reconstruction, and support for advanced AI-driven game features. NVIDIA says that the RTX 5080 offers up to 2.8 times the frame rates of current RTX 4080 servers, allowing streaming at up to 5K resolution at 120 frames per second. New high performance streaming modes are also coming, including 1080p at 360 frames per second and 1440p at 240 frames per second. This is insane, folks. This is nuts. And this is all coming through the cloud. I don't want to hear nothing else about, cloud gaming can't, and, the perplexity of the space-time continuum doesn't allow for latency to be. I don't want to hear that trash anymore, okay? GeForce Now already debunked it. We also had Digital Foundry, where they had an article. Didn't they have one that said we were art skeptics? Like, even Digital Foundry, the biggest haters, as a lot of us may have said back in the day, of cloud gaming. They were arch skeptics. Even they've come around in regards to cloud gaming, and particularly what NVIDIA GeForce Now can do. Okay, so I don't want to hear all that bibble babble. Oh, the space-time continuum and the bibblewatts and the gigahertz can't allow it. It's allowed, and it's happening even further. That gap is closing if it's not being blasted away with the last set of servers. It's getting insane here. Let's continue on now. The upgrades go beyond the GPU. Each new SuperPod server also includes an AMD Ryzen Threadripper Pro CPU with 8 cores and 16 threads running at up to 4.4 gigahertz paired with up to 60 gigabytes of RAM. Network technology inside the servers is also receiving a boost with NVIDIA Connect X7 smart NICs designed to support faster, more consistent streaming. NVIDIA says these improvements are aimed at closing the gap between cloud and local gaming performance, making demanding games run smoother and look better than ever on GeForce Now. I want to say this. There's a lot of times that I hear people in mainstream gaming, and as you guys know, my aim now in my content creation, whether it be here or on my own channel, is when I talk about cloud gaming, I want to bring the mainstream expectations to the capabilities of cloud gaming, and I want both sides, the mainstream gamer and the cloud gamer. I want to educate both sides. I want the mainstream gamers to understand that cloud gaming is capable. It is very capable. When done right, when the technology is pursued right, it can meet your mainstream gaming needs. And I want my cloud gamers to understand those mainstream gaming needs of the mainstream, because we can't ignore them. They have to be met in order for it to become mainstream. You know, you don't invite somebody in their house just because they're sitting on your porch. They got to be welcomed, right? They got to feel, you got to feel in the mood to welcome them in, right? So if we want cloud gaming to become mainstream, it's got to be in a position where mainstream gamers feel comfortable welcoming this in. Again, I might have a bias because of my expectations and my palate. I feel like nobody is more welcoming to mainstream gamers in the cloud space right now than NVIDIA GeForce Now. And that's important, because even if you do like a service that, you know, maybe headed in a different direction as far as the demographics you're trying to touch, or just have different offerings, you know, a rising tide lifts all boats, right, as they say. So when GeForce Now does stuff like this, and I didn't even get to the creme de la creme yet. When GeForce Now does stuff like this, it breaks those misconceptions and the demagoguery that comes with cloud gaming. It breaks those walls down, and people become more accepting, and then they want to learn more. The next follow, just continue on. I just had to say that because we're hearing a lot of people in the mainstream side of things say cloud gaming can't do it, or there's not enough internet infrastructure. That's not true, but we want people to do their research to enjoy services like NVIDIA GeForce Now, which they've always been great at. All you need, if you have enough internet to play a smooth to have a smooth connection and play a smooth game of Fortnite, you have enough to enjoy these services. You have enough to enjoy these services and enjoy them fluidly. And it was like that back in 2020. You know what I mean? So we want to break down those walls, those barriers, so there's more education on this. NVIDIA GeForce Now is leading that charge as far as I'm concerned. Like I said, I haven't even gotten to the creme de la creme yet. Okay. So I'll continue on. I'm sorry. You can tell I'm excited. I'm stoked about this. Let's continue on. Cinematic quality streaming. Okay, so listen to this. GeForce Now is introducing a new cinematic quality streaming mode designed to bring image quality closer to high-end local PC gaming. This mode combines several upgrades to NVIDIA streaming technology, including YUV 444 chroma support for sharper text and cleaner color separation, enhanced AV1 So all my AV1 fans out there, here you go. Enhance AV1 encoding with reference picture sampling for smoother resolution changes. An AI-powered video filter that reduces noise and motion artifacts. So all this, all this compression and all that stuff that happens over streaming, again, more enhancements, more improvements coming. And again, just all you need is enough bandwidth and enough internet to play a smooth game of Fortnite, and you can get great performance from NVIDIA GeForce Now from that. Okay, let me continue. The new mode can stream up to 100 megabytes per second, taking advantage of faster home internet speeds to deliver more detailed and complex scenes. NVIDIA highlighted how foliage and high frequency textures, often difficult for cloud streaming to display clearly, now appear sharper and more defined. Early examples showed visible improvements in games like Black Myth Wukong, Assassin's Creed Shadow, and Mafia: The Old Country. Cinematic quality streaming will be available as a selectable option in the GeForce Now app, joining existing balanced, competitive, and data saver modes. It is intended for gamers who prioritize visual fidelity, particularly in single player or slower paced experiences where every detail matters, right? So if you're sitting there playing certain single player games where that competitive latency that we talked about, which is great on NVIDIA GeForce Now, if you're willing to sacrifice a little bit of that to get some more pristine quality, and you have the internet to support it, then that option is there. Doesn't mean that you need high-end internet to enjoy NVIDIA GeForce Now at the base level and still get great gameplay. Absolutely not. Doesn't mean that. But if you got a little more extra juice under the hood as it relates to internet, you can get a little bit more. Okay. Now let's talk about the latency and streaming rate enhancements. Okay, so just they're giving you a little bit more if you want to crank up the quality, but that doesn't mean that the latency isn't being enhanced even more. Listen to this. Latency and streaming rate enhancements. NVIDIA is pairing its visual upgrades with improvements to streaming responsiveness. The new RTX 5080 servers at NVIDIA RiverMax hardware packet pacing, enabling direct data transfers to and from the GPU for smoother, lower latency streaming. Network performance is also getting a boost through support for low latency, low loss scalable throughput L4S, developed in partnership with major ISPs. Testing is underway with Comcast in United States, as well as Deutsche Telekom, British Telecom, and T-Mobile on mobile 5G networks. And hopefully they can expand it with Verizon Fios as well, because that's what your boy has. L4S technology has already seen real-world rollouts, including T-Mobile's L4S deployment on 5G and Comcast low latency DOC SIS service, both of which have been shown to improve responsiveness for GeForce Now and other cloud gaming platforms. My side note about Verizon doesn't mean that, I'm looking for latency improvements. I need them for it. It's look, I got Fios, and Fios is excellent. Verizon Fios is excellent service here in the States. I'm already getting great responsiveness and everything. I don't have any issues with lag at all on NVIDIA GeForce Now, particularly GeForce Now Ultimate. These additional enhancements, it would be great to see them prevalent on Fios. I'm always up for enhancements and upgrades, but the service is already great as it stands, but it's going to get even better. Holy camole. Okay. All right. So let's keep going on. On the device side, GeForce Now already supports CloudDosage, and the RTX 5080 rollout adds faster reflex streaming modes, offering up to 360 frames per second at 1080p and 240 frames per second at 1440p. In testing with Overwatch 2, NVIDIA reported total system latency as low as 30 this is nuts, as low as 30 milliseconds under optimal network conditions, outperforming, listen to this, outperforming PlayStation 5 49 milliseconds at 120 frames per second. Hey, look, don't be mad at me Don't be mad at me, okay? It is what it is, people. And you guys know, look, and I can say this because they mentioned it here. You guys know I love PlayStation. I got some concerns. Like, let's talk about it here a little bit. I got some concerns about the quality of their games going forward because of some of their strategies. I feel like there's a domino effect that could affect the quality of their first party studios, pursuant of some of the things that their new leadership wants to do. And if you want to hear more of that, I actually got a video that's releasing simultaneously on my main channel, the MM2K Gaming News channel. So definitely check that out if you want to hear more about that. That being said, it's because of their PlayStation Studio games that PlayStation is a preferred console. Because of those concerns that I'm having, I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be worth me investing in the console the next time around. You know what I'm saying? So I got to fill the gap in somewhere. Look, I already have the NVIDIA Geforce Now in my portfolio. There we have it. With these enhancements, that just, hey, look, if that gap is created, and I got to say, okay, PlayStation, loved you while it was good. But my focus, I'm going to have to expand my focus elsewhere. Instead of me having to find another platform to fill in a hole, I might just expand my experience on NVIDIA GeForce Now. Again, it is great enough, not good enough. It is great enough to be a mainstream platform. And honestly, singularly, a mainstream platform. It's great enough to do that. Okay? So, look, this is not the first time that we heard about this. Some of y'all might be saying, oh, this is cap, whatever, whatever the kids are saying, it's cap. This is not the first time we heard this. Again, the arch skeptics that were Digital Foundry, they did testing and they showed that the NVIDIA GeForce Now, the previous version, the 4080 version, had lower latency than PlayStation 5 in certain instances. So this is not new news, okay? Again, to those of you that have not done your research and say, oh no, cloud gaming, it's just canned, it's not the internet infrastructure, and it's just the latency. Gotta educate yourselves on this stuff. Even if I don't like something, I want to be fully educated on it. You know what I'm saying? Because that education might help me down the road. I might say to myself, oh, I want to jump on the NVIDIA GeForce Now. And again, I'm not saying this is definitely going to happen in the future, but with a lot of these cloud services, the costs cannot be ignored. It's a lot of costs, to maintain, especially performance like this. So pricing structure could change, okay? But what happens a lot of time is a lot of us who have been around longer, we see with some of these cloud services, you might get grandfathered into another plan. And you can miss out on an opportunity where you could have been grandfathered into another plan because you're sitting there saying to yourself, oh no, this thing doesn't work. Well, you could be enjoying it right now. You could have a PC sitting in your house right now that underperforms, that is not worth it. And you could be saying to yourself, oh man, I don't have thousands of dollars to plug and enhance this PC. And your answer all along could have been the NVIDIA GeForce Now. Oh, but the latency and this and that, and you never tried it. And you discover it down the road where, like I said, again, still would be worth it because this is high quality stuff, but you could have added even more value to yourself because you could have been grandfathered into another plan. All things to consider. That's why it never hurts to be educated as soon as possible. That's why even whether you make cloud gaming a mainstay in your gaming portfolio or not, be educated on it. There's nothing, it's never bad being an educated consumer. Nothing bad about it. All right, let's continue on. And it says, finally, on the section of latency and streaming rate, they say these updates are aimed at making competitive games feel as responsive, as playing on a local gaming PC while also providing smoother performance for a wide range of titles. New device and peripheral support. All right, so here we go. The upcoming GeForce Now update also expands GeForce Now's reach across more devices and accessories. On the handheld side, the native Steam Deck app will now support up to 90 frames per second on the OLED models. That for all my Steam Deck people, that's awesome. Matching the screen's refresh rate, Lenovo's upcoming Legion Go S handheld will also benefit streaming at 120 frames per second on its built-in display and up to 4K, at 120 frames per second when docked at compatible TV. So for those of you that have those devices, you are getting those enhancements. For big screen gaming, LG TVs from 2025 and 2026 will gain support for up to 4K 120 frames per second with HDR directly through the GeForce Now app. Some 2024 models also expected to be compatible. LG's 5K Ultra Gear monitors, including the 45-inch ultra-wide OLED, will also be supported at up to 120K frames per second. That's awesome stuff, and also could be cross-beneficial for you to upgrade your LG monitor. I have an LG C1, and this is an awesome monitor. And maybe next year I might be looking to upgrade, but this monitor is so great. I don't know. You know what I mean? And I don't play via the native app. I play through my computer, which, is a great way to play NVIDIA GeForce Now. But again, if you don't have a powerful rig and you got an awesome TV, or you're in the market for an awesome TV, I tell you, get the LG G Series. Get an LG G Series TV, right? 2020, what did they say? 2025 and 2026. Some 2024 models are going to be expected. So if you got a 2020, let's wait. I mean, you might want to wait for more details if you just want to, get a 2024 model. But definitively, it sounds like the 2025 and 2026 models. I highly suggest getting the G Series LG TVs. They are phenomenal. They are phenomenal. And like I said, I might be in the market for one next year. I might pick up a 2025 model. I was looking at some 2024 LG G Series models, and they were superb, like mwah. You know what I mean? So something to keep in mind. And you might have the 2024 G Series models. I would imagine they would be powerful enough, but we need more details on that. So stay tuned for that. All right. So that's that on the TVs. Peripheral support is growing too, with Logitech racing wheels and haptics joining the list of compatible accessories. NVIDIA says the new wheel support will launch alongside the RTX 5080 update, offering a more tactical experience for racing fans. Look, man, there's a lot of people that have and shout out to my homie J Dub, known troll over there on the mainstream gaming side. He has an awesome gaming rig setup, and J-Dub, by the way, I'm waiting for the invite to down over there to Texas. All right, you've been inviting all these other people. I would love to get an invite too. You know what I'm saying, to come and check out your layout and everything like that. But no, shout out to the homie J-Dub. Has an awesome array of driving setups. You know what I'm saying, and with the lower latency and the peripheral support, again, you don't have to have you don't have to have thousands of dollars in a powerful rig in order to enjoy this now. So I would love to see J-Dub. J-Dub, this is a challenge to you. I would love to see you create a NVIDIA G. Here, you know what? I'm extending the challenge now. J-Dub, let's get you to establish a GeForce Now Ultimate powered racing setup, and I'm going to challenge you. Like I said, I want an invitation, right? You got to invite me in, just like Lost Boys. You got to invite the vampire to your house. Extend the invitation, and I want to challenge you on an NVIDIA GeForce Now powered setup versus your native setup, and we can do a racing game. That would be awesome. All right. So shout out to the homie J Double. Now he's probably like, whatever, boss. I'm not inviting you anywhere. Anyway, with that said, let's continue on. Discord instant play feature. the enhancements get crazier and crazier. Listen to this. NVIDIA is also introducing a new way to discover and try games through a partnership with Discord and Epic Games, right? Starting with Fortnite, gamers will be able to launch the game directly from Discord. This is crazy. You won't need to download the game or install the Geforce Now app without opening it first already, right? By linking an Epic Game Store account, a try the game button will appear in Discord when a friend is playing, allowing instant access through cloud streaming. So to shed some light on this, and I'm sorry to keep stopping and not reading through this, but there's so much here and I'm live reacting to this. And I want you guys to, and I don't want to miss a moment of this, right? So you're seeing genuine enthusiasm here because I just got the footnotes, but I didn't understand. Shout out to John for fleshing this out and putting all the details out here. I didn't understand, or I didn't know the details. So I'm live reacting to this and we're reading this together essentially. I sat in a meeting with NVIDIA a couple of years ago and I said, look guys, as you guys know, I was a big supporter of Stadia and long live the memories of Stadia. Stadia was doing some awesome stuff. And we got a great article on CloudDosage talking about Stadia, by the way, and some of the great things that they did and things that I believe one of its marketing people, shout out to Chris of Stadia, one of the managers, the community managers, had said about the platform and how they were doing innovative stuff and how they weren't just trying to stream you games. They were trying to do innovative stuff with streaming capabilities. So as I started to work with NVIDIA on some of these things that they were doing with NVIDIA Geforce, now I had a meeting with them. I sat in a meeting with them with some other people that were converting over from Stadia to Geforce Now more frequently. And because one of our biggest concerns was, hey, look, again, is this just going to be a flat as far as innovative service? Are you guys, the only thing that you're offering is visual bells and whistles and latency? Like, are you guys trying to do anything else innovative with the product, right? And they said, and I'm paraphrasing here, just stay tuned. There are some impressive things that people are doing with our API. This is just the tip of the iceberg from my understanding. This Discord union to try games. There's no, again, you guys don't understand how important this is. As a cloud gamer, we already got the app and we already in it. So we don't need this to introduce us to Fortnite, quote unquote. But if you're in Discord, right? Maybe you're away from home and you want some top of the line gaming on Fortnite, you want to get in a quick session, and you got a friend in Discord that you're chatting with that's already playing the game, and you could just hop in with them on the phone, even if you're not away, if you're on your computer, right? You just want to hop in some Fortnite, or even if you want to try it out for the first time. You don't need powerful or expensive hardware to do that. You don't understand how important that would be to casual gamers. And that's just they're just starting with Fortnite. Do you know how many games would benefit from just having a demo session? Try me. And you can do it right from Discord. I ain't got to boot up my console. I ain't got to power on this. I ain't got to power on that. While me and you are chatting in Discord, I can just try the game right then and there. Whether I'm on my phone, on my computer, on my laptop, on my Chromebook, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the native power of the device. I'm still going to get great fidelity. As long as it has an internet connection, I'm still going to get great fidelity. That is huge to casual gamers, and that is something that, again, as I stated earlier, I know we got our own quirks and things that we want to be maintained as a cloud community, and that's important. But it's very important for an olive branch, while that's being maintained, our quirks and things, it's very important for an olive branch to be extended to the mainstream gaming community and casual gamers included within that. This is a great step in that direction. That's why I say it, in my opinion, and again, this is not to slight, you guys know I'm very opinionated about other services, this, that, or the other. Some I like as well, some I don't like so much. It's not about that, but I'm giving GFN their flowers when it comes to this. I really feel like NVIDIA GeForce Now, out of all the services, has their finger on the pulse of reaching the mainstream gamer the most. Doesn't mean that other services don't have a good pulse either, but I want to give GeForce Now their flowers for the directions that they're moving in, also as an incentive of their peers to be as aggressive. It's not to slight anybody, it's to say, hey, look, this is the model right now, so try to match it or even surpass it, right? Okay, so let's continue on. It says the trial streams at 1440p 60, and this makes it possible to jump in quickly for a match or test a title out before installing it locally. NVIDIA says the goal is to remove barriers for both gamers and developers. This opens the door for more titles to be added in the future. While Fortnite is the first support feature, the technology could expand to other games over time. All right. So there are some more things coming. Oh, yeah. And probably some of the biggest feature for the mainstream. We're getting closer to that. Let's talk about game lineup and optimized titles. Several major games coming later this year are already set to be available on GeForce Now with optimizations for the new RTX 5080 hardware. Confirmed games include Call of Duty Black Ops 7, Borderlands 4, Dying Light, Ark Raiders, and The Outer Worlds 2, with more being announced in the upcoming GFN Thursday updates. When the RTX 5080 upgrade launches, and 20 games will be fully optimized for the new hardware. These will be featured in a dedicated optimized for 5080 row with the GeForce Now app. More titles will be added each week as NVIDIA completes testing to ensure compatibility performance standards are met. So yes, you got a soft launch coming as more and more games are being upgraded with the 5080 tier. So there's just gonna be some, for lack of a better term, some brute force things that are gonna happen anyway. But when these games become like fully optimized for 5080, you're gonna see even greater enhancements, right? So that's what that's letting us know. Okay, and we are here with, I think, the biggest mainstream olive branch of all this stuff. All of it is great. All of it is great, but I think this is the one that's going to pull people in. No further ado, let's get into it. Install to play feature. The new install to play feature will double the number of Steam games available to Ultimate members. It gives cloud access to any Steam title whose publisher has opted into cloud gaming. Holy camole. Even if it's not part of the ready to play library. So here's what this means. You'll notice that when you're on Steam and you look at those little icons as far as, supported features and all that other stuff, you may have seen often, GeForce Now supported or cloud support, whatever. And if you're a mainstream gamer that just plays natively, you probably never paid attention to that, right? And a lot of us that are cloud gamers that use NVIDIA GeForce Now, we have seen that, and then we've seen the games not be in the library. I'm like, okay, they've opted into NVIDIA GeForce Now support, but why aren't they in the library? Well, with this, it sounds like that whether they're in the ready to play library, this install to play feature means that game will be supported in install to play. So let's explain what install to play is. Here's what it is. You can download and install these games to a temporary 100 gigabyte cloud storage space during a session. High-speed connections from NVIDIA servers to Steam can reach up to 1 gigabytes per second, with many averaging over 500 megabytes per second. Once the session ends, the game is removed from the temporary storage. Subscribers to the optional persistent cloud storage add-on can keep games installed between sessions. These paid add-ons is available in 200 gigabytes, 500 gigabytes, and 1 terabyte tiers. So it sounds like, and there may be more details on this coming in the article. It sounds like if you guys are familiar with Shadow, they have officially added the Shadow tier or Shadow service to NVIDIA GeForce Now, meaning if you want to install whatever in your library, you're going to get a virtual hard drive. You're going to get a virtual hard drive to download this stuff on. The default spacing that comes with it is 100 gigabytes. But if you require more spacing, or if you don't want that game deleted, and along with the saves and stuff deleted in between sessions, there's going to be additional pricing for those options. That's what this sounds like to me. It looks like, as I'm looking at the next section, it looks like we're going to get more clarification on that. But let me finish this article before we go into that. Let me finish these next two sessions before we talk about that. NVIDIA says Ultimate members will gain immediate access to thousands of additional games while the ready-to-play library remains updated and fully patched for instant streaming. This is awesome. Okay. Now, before we talk about, I think these two sections are important. Pricing and availability. Okay, so I gave you guys a lot of great information. Let's talk about the pricing and availability for this. All announced upgrades, including RTX 5080, hardware and cinematic quality streaming, are included with the Ultimate membership. Okay, so we'll talk about that a little bit as we get through this section and what that means. Lower latency modes, expanded device support, and install to play are also part of the membership at no extra cost. Optional persistent cloud storage for install play will be a paid add-on, and that's completely understandable, because just to run NVIDIA GeForce Now right now is very expensive. There's been rumors about how much each instance costs NVIDIA alone, and I won't announce the prices here because I don't think that's adequate. But if there's any truth to them, it's expensive. So, and again, this is a business that can't. This is not a charity, and I know gamers don't want to hear that. Again, it's a perfect balance that you got to strike between. Look, we are a business, and things have to be profitable, but we're not going to gouge people, right? And I think NVIDIA has been more gracious on the we're not going to gouge people side. I think they've taken a lot of hits as cloud gaming maturizes and looks to become more mainstream over the last several years and several years in the future, right? So yeah, things have to be sustainable. And I think they've been more than fair on that in many regards. All right. So that right there is just to do the regular service where you're streaming from a library. That, as we can imagine, if you do your research, is expensive within itself. To give you now additional, space where you can download to, that's going to be, it's going to be an added cost. Makes a lot of sense. So let's go further. The last price increase for GeForce Now took place back in November 2023, and NVIDIA has said that these Listen to this. NVIDIA has said that these new features will roll out without any changes to the current Ultimate membership rate. That's nuts. For context, NVIDIA's 2024 Big Changes update also introduced new playtime limits. It set sessions caps at 6 hours for Ultimate and 3 hours for priority members. It also introduced a new 100-hour maximum monthly playtime limit. These limits remain in place alongside the current benefits. So there is the Ultimate playtime cap set at 6 hours per session, and then what you got to do is you got to go back and play the session. I mean, you after 6 hours, you got to say, you got to tell NVIDIA what Geforce now will do will remove you from your play session. They'll give you like a notification starting, I believe, at like 5 minutes before your session is going to end, and then they'll remind you, to have a slight reminder every minute, and then you have to get out, or they'll disconnect you, right? For a lot of us, we've been grandfathered into the older sessions. That's why I say paying attention to this, when you get grandfathered into stuff as things change, is important. That's why it's important to be educated on the stuff now, because you may be educated on it and say, oh, this may be beneficial to me now, even if I use it at a lesser frequency than what I'm currently playing now, it still will be beneficial to me. And then, as these enhancements come, you may use it more. And then there is the 100-hour maximum monthly playtime limit, which means that at just the rate that you're paying for, whatever you do, which is for me, because I'm grandfathered into the old plan, it's $20 a month or $200 a year. At that rate, I get 100 hours of playtime through NVIDIA GeForce Now a month. After those 100 hours, there are additional playtime add-ons that you have to apply to where. So it's not like you're completely cut off from being able to play, but there's additional playtime add-ons. The community has been, very vocal on that on multiple sides. Some have said they understand. Some are questioning the move. I understand it, and it's one of the barriers that come with one of the things, again, where they got to balance gouging versus, sustainable business. And it is very expensive to maintain these servers. So it's one of the things to where I say, I think at the very least, even for mainstream gamers, you would have to evaluate your monthly playtime. If you're a hardcore mainstream gamer that puts in a lot of hours, okay, maybe this is a supplement into your portfolio. You know what I mean? But it's all things, and to be fully transparent, it's all things that you got to look at here and consider. But again, I really think even as a supplement, it's something that you could take a look into and evaluate and say, you know what, I think this is worth putting into my gaming portfolio. All right. So the rollout for the new features begins in September, with NVIDIA planning to share exact deployment dates closer to launch. The company says that the initial RTX 5080 servers will go live alongside the first batch of optimized games, with more games being added weekly. All right. So GeForce Now September update raises the bar for cloud gaming. This is what I was speaking to earlier, where even if you're cloud gaming, you have a preference of another service, you can't deny the importance of connecting to mainstream gamers. Do not believe that they're just going to fall in line. Things have to happen. And I think there's this false misnomer as far as, well, our kids play a certain way. Our kids play on any device. So as our kids play on any device, they're going to grow up and play the exact same way that they play as kids. No. When I was growing up, I had a Game Gear. I wanted to play with the Nintendo robot. I played with the Nintendo gun. I played on my Game Boy. Even as a young adult, I had a Game Boy Advance. I'm older. I don't do those things now. The age of the average gamer is in their mid-30s. So as these kids grow up, so do the way that they game. It's not appropriate to just assume that the habits that they have as they're young are going to carry over to when they get older. As they get older, things like fidelity, more adult themes as far as fidelity and performance are going to become paramount for them, to where, you know, playing on my tablet and in the library available to my on my tablet and my phone may not, as things stand today, may not be suffice as I get older. I'll give you a prime example. My 19-year-old, he's a prime example of that. He used to game. I got a 19-year-old and a 25-year-old. They used to play. All I would buy them for Christmas is tablets. They saw some of the cooler console games and wanted to play them here and there. And whatever wasn't too, crazy for them to play, I would let them play. But a lot of times they spent, playing on their tablets, right? That was when they were 9 and 10 or, 11 and 12. Now that they're 19 and 25, I got one that's embedded on PlayStation 5, thinking about getting the Pro. I got another one that is knee deep in either playing on PC natively or NVIDIA Geforce Now. And I just built him a rig that was optimal for his NVIDIA Geforce Now experience. Not too expensive, but took full advantage. And I got him a 50 series card too. But not too expensive, but took advantage of the NVIDIA Geforce Now experience. And now with this new server blades, it's definitely, and it's a 50 series card, it's going to really take advantage of the NVIDIA Geforce Now experience. That's a long way from how they used to game, just on tablets and phones and playing Fizzle Chisel, Tizzle Popper, and Angry Bird. Fizzle Chisel Popper, by the way, is not a real game. But you get my point. It's important for cloud gaming to be able to provide those more mature experiences and address those more critical palettes than people have as they get older than they were when they were kids. And the NVIDIA Geforce Now does that, and they raise the bar of, hey, look, we're doing this in the cloud. Come on, y'all. We collectively have to do more. That's what this is saying. Let's continue on. With the largest upgrade in its history, Geforce Now is set to deliver faster performance and better image quality. You also have more ways to play than ever before. The jump to the RTX 5080 hardware brings major boost in frame rates and resolution. Cinematic quality streaming tackles one of cloud gaming's most common visual complaints. Lower latency mode, expanded device compatibility, and Logitech Racing will support add flexibility for how and where you can play. Features like install play and Discord instant play highlight NVIDIA's focus on game accessibility and discovery. They make it easier to enjoy more titles without lengthy downloads or installs. With no price increase to Ultimate members, these updates strengthen Geforce Now standing in cloud gaming. As the September rollout begins, Ultimate members will have more reasons than ever to log in. You can test the new modes and see how close cloud gaming feels to a high-end local rig. They are not scared at all. They're not trying to hide anything from you. Come one, come all, test this out. It's like when you see a game, put that demo out early. They're like, look, man, we're not afraid of nothing. We feel like we got quality product. And the NVIDIA Geforce Now is doing the same. So I agree with them. Come on, come on. Come test it out. And again, for CloudDosage, always remember to follow us on social media platforms. You can check us out on Threads, X, Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube, and Facebook, and stay up to date with the latest news. All right. So With that said, what are my thoughts on this? Right. Let's do this. I gave you my thoughts as we went through. Let me just skim over them real quick again, because there were so many. This is their largest update to date, and I'm excited over it, as you can see. I hope my excitement over the last 50 minutes or so plus doesn't get lost on you. The new 5080 series upgrade, that is just a phenomenal thing to see. I love the cinematic quality streaming. Again, NVIDIA Geforce now gives you options, a lot of options. I think they're the most option rich service out there. You could try you can tweak it for whatever your preference is. Maybe you're playing a single player game to where you got, if you've got extra juice coming out of your internet, you got a single player game that you really want to crank it up on visually. Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Again, without these tweaks, you're still getting a great, phenomenal experience. You can go to CloudDosage streams, or even go to MM2K gaming streams, and just look at a NVIDIA GeForce Now display of games like Atomfall. You know what I'm saying? And games like games like Atomfall. You could see those games and see them on our platform and see why they're great on the NVIDIA GeForce Now. The product speaks for itself as far as quality and fidelity, and this is just going to make it even better. Latency and streaming rate enhancements, again, they're not forgetting latency. We got the Discord instant play feature, which is, I think it'll be great for the mainstream. We got the game lineup and optimized titles, right? And then we got the install to play feature, which I think is going to be the biggest thing for the mainstream. Pricing and availability, you know what I mean? Like I said, you got to balance that out. For full transparency, you got to balance that out and see, okay, is this for me, right? You got to do that. So with that said, I am highly excited for this upgrade. I don't think it gets any better than this. NVIDIA GeForce Now, the creme de la creme of cloud gaming as far as performance and capabilities, and also doing these new things. And that's not to sit there and say that other services are bad. That's not what we're doing here. What we're doing is we're saying that GeForce Now continues to innovate, raise the bar, and they're saying, come on, peers. Let's show what cloud gaming is all about, and I'm all for it. All right, with that said, appreciate everybody. Hope you enjoyed our breakdown, our analysis, and also check out the article on CloudDosage. Let's show you the article again on CloudDosage. This is it. Check it out. We talk about these upgrades in full here if you want to just read the article. But I hope you guys enjoyed my live reaction to this. And man, the future is bright. Let us know what you think. Those are my thoughts, but let us know what you think about this in the comment section below. Like I always say, I'm curious what I think. But if you did enjoy what I said, check out those links to follow me. They will bring you to MM2K Gaming, Hard Knock Digital Culture, and here CloudDosage. With that said, peace. You all have a wonderful, wonderful gaming day.